It's time for the Chris and Andre Show.
More Perfect Union. If you haven't checked out their channel, they have a lot of good videos and very, 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 very detailed, very, very informative. Again, check them out. But they did a story recently about private equity killing youth sports. I have a lot of thoughts, but I'd love to hear what you think about it.
Yeah. Where to begin? So I think, it reminded me watching the video a lot of what was deemed kind of like the college arms race back in the 90s and early 2000s, all before the NIL era, where it was all about facilities, right? Like how much money can we spend on the place that you're going to spend the most time here if we can't just be giving you this cash directly? And I mean, NC State, I remember like when Dave Doran first got there, it was this big push to get the indoor practice facility because we were one of the only teams in the ACC that didn't have one at the time, yada, yada, yada. It sounds to me like that's a lot of what's kind of happening now in youth sports, where it's all about like getting the best equipment, the best bats, the best, fields, the best stadiums. I mean, that Cal Ripken baseball stadium they show that's got like 17 fields, custom walk-up music. I'm sorry, what kid needs custom walk-up music to learn how to play baseball the right way? Which was the quote about like him and his brother starting the whole thing. Seems really ridiculous, and I think there's
Cal
another
Ripken, bro.
Well, sure. I mean, and I'm not saying that you can't make money off of it. I'm just saying, I think to say I want a place where kids can learn to play baseball the right way, that seems at least to focus on a lot of things that aren't really about playing baseball. Seems kind of, I don't know, at odds with each other. But yeah, I guess that's my initial set of thoughts. Let's hear what you...
Well, I'll frame it like this. I saw the other day on my way home a dad throwing a ball with his kid in the front yard. And I bet you that kid will be a lot better than most of the kids that, well, I don't know. But I'll stick with that. That kid will probably be a lot better than some kid that went to Cal Ripken's.
He'll probably be more well-adjusted in the long run.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
When we went to Florida to see two of our sons, my oldest son was reminding me how I taught him and his brothers how to play baseball and things like that. Not the way my dad did it, but but it also got me thinking about the mom's motivation from New York, where college is almost unattainable. It's almost, it is, you can't really afford to put one kid through college, yet alone two. So these kids are really starting young in hopes of getting an opportunity to get a college scholarship.
Thinking of trying out for a scholarship.
Give me the ball, man. Give me that ball.
So aside from the stupidity of the rest of it, I think for me, that was the bigger story. And she spent like $25K a year.
Fatima spends roughly $17,000 on team fees, $6,000 on travel and lodging, and another $2,000 on equipment. That's $25,000 a year to have her kids competing in youth sports.
It's taking the fun out of sports, and whether it was her taking the subway to go play basketball and the coach having to find places where they could play, or the baseball side of it, we've turned, like, I don't think it's private. Well, I do think it's partially private equity, but I think the motivations and the reasons why people are doing these things they're unheard of. It's really insane.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I think, for a long time, the athletic scholarship was viewed as kind of a ticket, out of a bad situation or out of a bad neighborhood, into an academic life where at the very least you're going to leave hopefully with the degree and, regardless of how vigorous the classwork may have been. But
yeah, ice cream topping studies.
yeah, which I think is a whole nother kind of, side topic to all of this. But it really is like the marriage of athletics and academics at the college level, and like you're saying, the fact that college is so expensive now, a lot of parents view their only way to make it an option for their kids to go to college is for them to achieve some sort of athletic scholarship. And that leads them to doing a lot of things that I think otherwise they wouldn't do. Like you're saying, riding the subway all the way across town to go play basketball. And I thought it was interesting because at the beginning of the video, she's like, oh, I'm a momager and I'm managing all of these, 7 different sports and yada, yada. And she's like, but they just love to play. And the very next scene was her waking them up at like the crack of dawn because it was time to go play baseball. And neither of them looked like they were super excited for that. Right. And, and then later in the video, it was like, well, I'm just going to, and this was her again, just being like, well, I'm just going to push in the hopes that we can get, they can get scholarships to go to college. And it's like, well, again, those two things to me seem to be somewhat at odds with each other of they love it and I'm going to push, which to me is kind of like, and I don't mean this to come off as super judgmental of her because I'm not in her shoes or anything like that. But I think it's not just her, but that is a mentality that is pervasive throughout a lot of youth sports. And, I think like for me growing up, I was never, like star athlete or especially good in any sport, but I played baseball, basketball, soccer. I played a little bit of football, like everything at the rec league level, which gave me an opportunity to learn and to get some exercise and to meet kids that I didn't necessarily go to school with. And, it was like, honestly, great experience. And I think the fact that a lot of that is starting to go away at that rec league level, like they talked about in the video, is another really sad part of it. And it feels like what's left is that super upper echelon of like the club level, which existed back in, my day, but it was like, yeah, that's if you're serious and you want to get a scholarship to go play at a university, yeah, you go play this club on this club team and you're going to travel the whole state of California to do these tournaments and stuff like that, but that's what it takes. And I was never that good, but at least I had, the option to still play and to get the experience of enjoying that sport. And I think it's really sad that it seems like a lot of that is being taken away and kids are kind of being shoved or pushed into that upper echelon when maybe that's not really where they want to be or where they belong.
Whether it's one of my nephews was doing AAU basketball, and he realized recently that, he's not going to be that star player. Like it was never in the cards, right? Mm-hmm. Then I can think back to my daughter who did competitive karate. That's expensive, and we did a lot of travel. To tie it back to private equity, I don't think that's the place for youth sports. And, I think back to the representative that was speaking in Congress saying
that if I live stream my child's hockey game, my kid's team will be penalized and lose a place in the standings. Why is that? Because a private equity company has bought up all the rinks.
Okay, enough's enough. And I think he's right. Enough's enough. Why are we monetizing, youth sports? Why are rec leagues being strangled? In my town, rec athletics are still alive and well, but we're a wealthy town. So what happens to the less fortunate towns and communities.
Yeah.
I think it's a moral failing, to be honest with you. I mean, everything shouldn't be monetized. And to the college path, I think that's wrong too. I think it should be an avenue, but it shouldn't be the driving force. I'm going to assume the lady in the video was middle class, upper middle class, but then that says a whole lot's wrong with our college system, our upper, higher education.
So real quick, I just had a thought. If she's spending $25K a year, I mean, that's tuition.
Not really. Not really. No.
Okay.
That's barely.
Even at an in-state?
In-state, probably a semester. Yeah. Like NC State is expensive right now.
Yeah. It was
so
when I went too.
Yeah.
But I know it's
Right.
even gets gotten even more expensive now for sure.
So if she's thinking about sending her kids to school in New York, I can only imagine what that costs, right?
Yeah.
So I think that we have, I think private equity took advantage of a market.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what they do, right? Like,
right.
But it very rarely works out for the market or the consumers or the company that they come in and take over. So, like, the only people that really seem to benefit are the private equity owners and managers. So, I don't know. I mean, it's not a knee-jerk, hey, let's ban private equity, but I think should there be regulations in terms of the types of things that they can invest in, or that, I don't know. Because it just feels like it's gotten really out of control in a sense, where this has just become, I mean, it seems like every month, it's some other company that's been acquired, and then 3 months later, they filed for bankruptcy because it was a leveraged buyout.
I just heard a story recently about they're buying bowling alleys, right? So even well, I mean, it's an
for
unsung
land.
No, because there are towns and places where bowling, that's the thing.
Yeah,
right?
It's big. Yeah, I mean, especially in the Midwest. Yeah.
Right. So if I buy up every Bowlerama,
yeah,
I corner the market. So my $6 pitcher of beer is now $17. My shoe rentals go from $4.25
yeah, exactly, to 10
to 10, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I'm not a regulations guy. I think we should have regulations that make sense, but not just to overregulate.
Regulators, mount up.
I do believe in a somewhat free market, but not to, victimize people, or to take advantage of people in the market.
Yeah.
So I'm stuck in the middle on that one. I don't have an answer, but I do know it's wrong. And I think that if we're cannibalizing youth sports and we're cannibalizing things that people used to do for fun, like even bowling, we're on the wrong path. It's just, maybe you need something.
Yeah. The other thing you were talking about, monopolizing the bowling alleys and stuff like that, the state of play that they talked about, where these venture private equity firms have bought up the leagues, the travel places, they have specific hotels, they have the websites, like all of this stuff, and it's basically like you have to use all of this if you want to be included as part of this tournament. And
you have to buy this equipment, right? You can only have this. I understand the safety concerns in karate, but we had to buy certain pads. We would buy punching bags and all. I mean, it wasn't cheap. I mean, we would spend some serious cash to go from here to Ohio, from here to Florida, from here to wherever the tournament was. And again, fortunate that we were able to do that, but it it becomes the difference between the haves and the have-nots. And looking back now and seeing how much it's evolved to where more and more things are being consumed by that entity or those entities, it's really bad. It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So, private equity, they're doing what they do. They're doing what they do. So,
the other thing that I thought was interesting was the Norway bit.
Norway is a nation the size of Minnesota, just over 5 million people, and yet they win all these medals? How did that happen? They created a Bill of Rights for children in sports.
Dude.
Because of course.
When I saw that part, I just smiled. I'll tell you part of my experience. My first day of school, we had to have a rucksack and like a walking stick. And I was, coming from New York, I was like, what are we doing, right? And not just like a backpack. We're talking like you're like going somewhere. Pack. Yeah. Yeah. So the entire school hiked from Oslo American to a mountain, and then we hiked back. In the wintertime, there was the physical fitness test was you had to cross country ski and downhill ski, like I think it was 3 or 4 miles. And yeah, I mean, everybody can do it. We had to, take swimming and all these things because but even the Bill of Rights, if the kid needs to want to do it, you can't make the kids do it. On a similar topic, I was talking with some family on Mother's Day, and socialism came up, and I said, "Well, your home country is socialist." No, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it is. They have some very socialist policies there, and I had to steer them away from focusing on like socialism as seen by Cuba and China, which are different forms of socialism, back to what socialist country, comparative socialist countries, most of Scandinavia, most of Europe are very socialist. And maybe it's not so bad, like, I'm sorry. It's like,
yeah. Welcome to this side.
Welcome back, friend. I knew this day would come.
Dale, get off of me.
No, but I mean, you look at like one of the most, I guess, what is often looked at upon, very favorably. No, I shouldn't say that. A lot of the programs that have been eliminated lately or that are under attack are socialist programs that were put in place because of things like the Great Depression and the stock market crash and all of that. And it wasn't until Reagan and his ilk kind of came in and started dismantling a lot of that, that we started looking at it as like these entitlements or, like these handouts, as opposed to government programs designed to help people that need help when they need it, and designed to make things affordable that should be affordable. I don't know. Provide the services that the citizens need. What am I missing here? I feel like I'm dancing around it, but I'm not.
Well, the reality is government is not a business. It is a investment into the community. And the minute we look at government services and functions as something that have to be profitable, we've missed the plot. And to FDR's credit, partially, there was a great need for a lot of those things outside of the Great Depression, right? Because people were getting older and people were living longer. Now, granted, there was some hijinks with that, and black families weren't given the same benefits as other families. So I kind of look at that with a squinted eye. But I do think that there's something to be said that our government must be working for the people that they represent. And we've gotten so far away from that.
There is no power but what the people allow you to take.
That I think that we're letting the system, how do we get to a point where a mom is paying $25K for her kids to play basketball, right? I don't even remember how much we paid for Jaylee to compete in karate, right? But it wasn't $25K. I can just tell you that. It was something we budgeted for, yes, and we attended every tournament. We drove everywhere. We may not fly sometimes, but we were getting in the car and just drive. So I think that there's something to be said that for the benefit of the community, if these kids are going to eventually get older and need to contribute back or participate in the communities they live in, why not equip them now? Why not make sure they're healthy, happy, and have the skills? Or not.
That is the alternative that we seem to be leaning towards at the moment for whatever reason.
Right. And I think that's the general heart of socialist programs. It's to take care of for the benefit of the society. And if we don't care about that and we all want to be I don't know. I just think it's weird. I think it's sad. And hopefully I hate to call them leaders because they're not. Hopefully the people that should be making these decisions make better decisions. So
you sent this video that was talking about why U.S. automakers are truly starting to panic now in the face of China and their EVs and how popular they are in terms of, their affordability and availability basically everywhere outside of the United States.
Did you know that China sells more EVs than the rest of the world combined? In the span of just 5 years, they've become the leader in vehicle exports across the globe, beating out major players like Japan and Germany. But not only do they lead in exports, they also far and away lead in production of vehicles. And they've done all of this without being able to sell their vehicles in the US.
Since I got to go first last time, I'm going to let you kind of give your initial thoughts on this one.
I'll tell you what, when I went to Peru and my wife and I were talking about, just stuff, right? I'm like, That's a nice car. And I'm like, it's Chinese. And I started looking around more and more. They were pretty much predominantly Chinese or Japanese. And they were nice cars. When I was in Mexico, I would say 7 out of 10, probably 8 out of 10 cars were Chinese. And they look nice. My wife's uncle rented a car in Mexico. I think it was a BYD. Mm-hmm. And the interior and just the features in the car were outstanding. Top notch. Even the stitching of the leather, and it was real leather, which was impressive. Or it was really great manufactured leather, but it felt real and looked real, and the stitching was immaculate. I think we might have messed up as a country.
Yeah.
I think we might be in bad shape. Here's what I think. I think the tariffs of 100% on Chinese cars would have been a good short-term buffer to give U.S. manufacturers a chance to catch up. But you know what they decided to do? We're not going to make any more cars. We're just going to make trucks and crossovers and SUVs. Well, good luck with that.
And then, I mean, you see where it's gotten them, right? Because, yeah, I think I even had it in my notes that it's like, hey, 100% tariff on Chinese, EVs, great example of how you can effectively use a tariff to protect a certain industry within your borders. But to your point, that is a Band-Aid. That is not a permanent solution to just say, well, we're never going to import the cheap stuff from China or from wherever, right? Or even if it's not cheap. And then it wasn't coupled with the right incentives to get U.S. automakers to ramp up their investment and production of EVs, which is like you had to have those two things combined so that you can then remove the Chinese tariff at a point or reduce it to 50%, 25% over time to soften the blow and allow that, your U.S. automaker market to take hold before you just flood the market with the BYDs.
Well, two things stood out to me in that video. One was the Ford executive saying their cars are really nice, and what they've been able to do with technology is amazing. And I'm like,
and
bro,
we're seriously in trouble.
It's the most humbling thing I've ever seen. 70% of all EVs in the world, electric vehicles, are made in China. They have far superior in-vehicle technology. Huawei and Xiaomi are in every car.
I was like, bro, what are we talking about? So we'll just accept defeat. And that
was what it sounded like. It was like, we don't stand a chance. Everything's automated. There's not a single human on the floor, which is not
entirely true.
Yeah, and not necessarily the ideal scenario either, but I do understand that, automation provides efficiency and it can provide a reduction in cost after the initial investment.
But that's inconsequential, because here's the second part that stood out to me. They're not even cheap. There's two parts to that.
Yeah.
One, they're subsidized by the government. And two, they were able to drive cost downs with the automation. And I think that what that proves is we have an overinflated market. Mm-hmm. So I think we use the word cheap because we see it through a Western or a Western lens. Yeah. And I think in my mind, it's just the fruition of efficiency, right?
Yeah.
And in the long run, do you really want people just building cars forever? The answer is no, but you have to pivot.
Yeah. And I think that, that was part of why, during NAFTA and then even during US MCA, you saw a lot of, a lot of the US automakers were like, well, we're going to do some of the production in Mexico and we're going to exploit some of the cheaper labor down there, but still be able to say our cars are made in America and get all the benefits of doing that. And we can, import the good steel from Canada, but we don't have to pay the tariffs on it. And, so it's like the U.S. automakers in particular, it seemed like kind of put themselves in a position there. But then, of course, that got ripped up and the, larger tariffs got put on that. And then they're like, oh, we'll do these little carve outs for you so that you guys don't get completely screwed. But again, that's a Band-Aid. That's not a permanent solution.
So the argument would be, look, if you're trying to get an objective completed, do the things necessary to get it completed and not skirt the inevitable thing. The inevitable thing was EVs are coming. Whether we want to admit it or not, they're coming. So an investment from the government would be to subsidize car makers so they can actually, whether it's build plants, they probably can't do the batteries because we don't have the rare earth materials, but help them to set up the infrastructure to do the thing that you kind of need. Yeah. But they missed the boat. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's like...
No, you're fine. But it's a lot of the same messaging that I think we've been talking about for the last year and a half now, at least.
Right.
About, this is... You can't only do the first step, which is to impose the tariffs. You have to have the incentives for the local, manufacturers to expand or whatever it is in order, to build up that if that's your goal.
That's the rule. That's the goal now.
If the goal
Yeah.
is to increase manufacturing capacity within the United States, then yes, tariff this stuff and bring, or, say I'm going to introduce a tariff in 4 years or 3 years, whatever it is, after I've given all of these incentives to get the manufacturing up to, speed here in the U.S. so that people can more quickly switch off. So you don't have that
I think you're missing what I'm saying. China subsidized the entire industry.
Yes, and
it's not
they were
about
talking about
incentives.
There's more than 100 but
different manufacturers.
I think a subsidy is an incentive in a lot of ways.
I don't think
I'm not
so.
saying it's the only way to do it, but I don't know. And I mean, granted, China has a different government setup in the way than we do, right? Like they tend to have more direct investment in those companies and therefore more direct control.
And I think that allows them to, okay, this is what I'm saying. That obviously worked. Now, I'm not saying we need 100 different car manufacturers. That's not my argument. Right. My argument is, okay, we are going to be out of this market. I wouldn't say lose, right? We are going to be out of this market. And if we want to remain in this market, if we understand the impact that car manufacturers have on our economy, we need to invest in these industries.
Yeah.
Not to where incentives do nothing. They just all that does is continue the 3-card Monte where we're moving the money around all the time. I'd rather get to a point in this country where we understand an investment, why we're doing it, and fucking do it. And I think that we missed the mark there, and trying to continue to execute the way we always executed it since like the 80s is dumb. So
what is the investment that should have been made then, if not subsidizing, or incentivizing like EV production?
Incentives are exactly that. It's like the chip manufacturers that are no longer building their plants, right? We're going to give you a tax credit. Now, fuck that. If we have the money to even float the idea of giving $1.5 trillion to the Department of Defense, how about we just give $1.5 trillion to car manufacturers to build plants, to employ people, because the long-term return pays off in dividends. But
how? I guess I'm trying to understand, because you wouldn't foresee like the U.S. government taking an ownership stake in those companies.
It just becomes a forgivable loan. Like I don't think we have to go completely Red Scare here, but what China did makes sense. Right. I don't think the scale of 100 companies makes sense. But I do understand.
And even the video talked that they expect that that's going to consolidate down to roughly 15 over the next 5 to 10 years. And we've seen that in the U.S. as well, right? Like we had dozens of U.S. automakers at one point that have now shrunk down to primarily 3.
Primarily 2, because
I was going to say
Stellantis is not a U.S. company. So my argument would be that sometimes you just have to subsidize, and maybe that's just a cash infusion to that company, and you do the thing, you move on. Because if you want to stay in the market, and if you want the economy to, and again, I'm not an economist, but I'm smart enough to know that sometimes you got to look to your neighbor and see, hey, that worked. Let me try some of that. Just do the thing.
Yeah.
And BYD, BYD is a special case because the founder of that company had all the internals to make the batteries. So he started out like 20 steps ahead. So that was his thing already. He just had to pivot. Now the other companies, I can't speak for them. And even though BYD's had some decline in sales, it's because not everybody's buying cars. I mean, that's just the nature of it. And they don't really have access to... I did think it was
kind of interesting that they talked about that BYD, like a lot of the, not just BYD, but the EV manufacturers in China, because there's not as much margin to be made on the lower cost models, that they are looking to build bigger like EV trucks and SUVs, which is a lot of what the U.S. automakers did that got them to where they are now. But no, and I think to your point, would you rather invest 1.5 trillion or whatever, $500 billion into the U.S. automotive industry, or give it as a bailout when everything starts to fall apart? Right? Like we've done the second one, and we've seen that it doesn't really fix it. Again, like it's more of a Band-Aid, because you've waited until things have fallen off the rails before you start to inject cash back into it. And it seems like it would make a lot more sense to be like, hey, you're doing well. Here's extra money to do even more and invest in this. And
well, it's kind of like a strategery.
Governor Bush? Strategery.
You have to understand that there are always going to be external pressures in your company to, like, you have to be able to be adjustable and understand that, like, the environment, right? And there are a couple things in OPEC late in the fall last year that could have, we could have kind of predicted that production may go down, oil futures may go up, and we would have known that was supposed to happen sometime in the early spring, right? Mm-hmm. But what you can't predict is that we're going to shut down the Strait of Hormuz and affect 20% of the world's oil production in general. Well, the early indicator last fall says we need to get out of this dependency on oil, because it's not about oil. In my mind, it's not about oil production or the ability to refine it and stuff like that. It's that the industries it affects, and how long do you want to have those industries tied to a unstable, like, resource? And that's the long-term view.
Well, and
in my mind,
especially for a nation that is as auto-dependent as we are.
Right.
Right? I mean, and there are other, I think Argentina, Brazil, like those are some other places that are also like heavy car dependent. But they, at least in some of the most of the major cities, they still have some form of public transportation. I am constantly disappointed with the lack of public transportation, like real viable public transportation in anywhere kind of outside of New York City. It seems like in
or
the
Chicago
US, or Chicago. Yeah. Like, and I know that there are some other places that do, but I'm just from my own personal travel experience and whatnot. And especially here in Wilmington, which is obviously not a big city, but it is just, You
want to hear something interesting? In Peru, they have the vehicles can either run on gas or natural gas, which is amazing. So when we went to Warmay from Lima, our driver she was just cruising. Like, it was amazing. But she stopped and had to fill up with natural gas. And I was like, first of all, you have to get out of the car while they fill it up, which is scary.
Just in case.
I was like, okay. But the second part is, as far as fuel dependency, you have a country like Peru that has figured out how to navigate that, right? Yeah. And what that does is it makes them less reliant on outside sources because Peru has natural gas. Right. And number two, it doesn't restrict them to just the things that you need to do every day. I'm not saying that we convert our cars that can be either gasoline or liquid gas, but I would challenge the system to say, okay, so what's our plan B? Now, to be fair, anybody that thinks that because the Strait of Hormuz isn't anybody that thinks it doesn't directly impact us is probably smoking crack, because the stark reality is, well, now you have to go in the global markets and go against those bids. So now you're going to have the 20% of more people trying to purchase oil.
If the global price of oil is $110 a barrel, why on earth would U.S. oil manufacturers sell it for anything less? You think they're going to sell it at home at a discount?
No.
Please, can I have some of the crack that you're smoking? Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. It's like we were just talking about how they're refunding the tariffs, and the automakers are like, hey, we made money. And it's like, yeah, because you passed all that along to us. You know? And it's like, I mean, don't hold your breath, because it's not like you're going to get a refund check for that at any point.
I think the whole car thing, would I buy a Chinese vehicle? Yeah, I would. In a heartbeat.
Me too.
Like, I'm not...
Why? I mean, I drive a Kia. Like,
right.
To me, ultimately, what's the difference? Like, I'm not buying it.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying I like everything about China.
No.
But we've conditioned ourselves to think everything China is bad.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily true.
I can speak from firsthand experience. Like, you know, my company is based in Hong Kong, but we have, you know, multiple factories in China, and the vast majority of our workforce, I would say, is based inside mainland China at this point. And they are, I mean, the people, right, of China are wonderful. Like, they are just people. And they are hands down some of the hardest working people that I've ever met. They're some of the nicest. Like, it's just, there's nothing wrong with China. You may not like some of their policies, and you may not like the way that their government, you know, behaves towards some of their own people. But that's true of most places at the end of the day, right? And I think you're right. Like, we have been conditioned for a long time to believe that anything out of China must be bad, right? Or that it's a cheap copy of something from somewhere else.
And I think that's part of the problem that we face. And I want to be clear. I'm not saying I support China invading Taiwan. There's a lot of things I'm not saying, but I do think that what they've done effectively is bridge a gap that the U.S. used to fill. And here's my point of reference. When I lived in Europe, everybody drove a Mercedes. Everybody drove a BMW. That was like a Ford or a Chevy. Mm-hmm. But you could tell somebody had money if they were driving an American car. That was a status symbol. And American companies would make European branded vehicles to fit the needs of that demographic. When I was in Mexico, I drove by a couple of Ford dealerships, and there were some standard Fords I see here in the States, but there were also vehicles that they made specifically for Mexico. Mm-hmm. Same thing in Peru. And those soft diplomatic tools that we use, such as commodities like vehicles, I mean, they make a world of difference. They do. When I had left the airport in Lima, I saw a Ford Raptor. I was like, I want a Ford Raptor. But I mean, so it's not like, I mean, we're advocating that position very quickly. Yeah. And so, you know, shit.
If nothing else, what you know with China is it's going to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
Xi Jinping's mission is to replace the United States as the world economic leader.
He's doing a pretty damn good job.
Full stop.
And I'm with you that, like, it's not about, you know, agreeing with anything that they do, human rights violations, Taiwan, Hong Kong, all of that stuff. But it's recognizing their ability in this moment to capitalize on the U.S. faltering. And,
right.
I mean, let's not even faltering, falling flat on its fucking face on the global
on purpose.
stage.
Actually jumping on its face.
Yes, yeah, that's fair. Like swan diving off off the roof and yelling, "Look at me!"
It's like some clown trying to crowd surf and everybody just steps away. It's like, nah, dude, nope.
Go with it, man. Just do it. Feel the breeze and let it fly. Oh yeah, 747.
Look, I think electric vehicles. Look, the environment is telling us every day it's in pain. And I'm not a hippie, but
far from it. I can vouch.
I will be pretty honest and say when I saw snow in a desert and camels like freaking out, I was like, yo, maybe they're onto something.
Yeah.
When I saw snow in Texas, I was like, yo, they're really onto something. It doesn't take a lot to convince me that something's not right. During COVID, when we stayed inside and all the animals were like, whew. I mean,
yeah, it's and it's unfortunate because it really, aside from just the EV side of things, it feels like we're really moving backwards on so many of the environmental, aspects of things and trying to prevent the worsening of that. And I feel like we're so close to that tipping point of not being able
I'll summarize it like this. My ankle has gotten a lot better. And the reason being is because I put an ankle stabilizer on and I started like paying attention to what I was doing, and my ankle's been able to heal. So I have probably 90-ish% of my mobility back in my ankle. I think that's kind of what the planet's telling us. Like, I really do. It's like, hey, I want to support you, but you're killing me, dog. Like, let's figure. You can do some things to kind of mitigate a lot of this. I think EVs would be we depend on transportation. Especially where I live, you can't walk anywhere. There is no public transit. Well, there is in my town, and I could technically get it. But
again, viable and feasible because you could ride the Sirius systems of buses for 3 hours to get to your destination.
Right.
But that's not really. For a 30-minute drive.
Yeah. Why don't we have a train that goes from Asheville to Carolina Beach?
Well, now they're finally talking about.
They're doing a study. It's another study.
Well, yeah, the one from Raleigh to Wilmington, basically, and they've supposedly gotten the approval for the funding that they've requested. But yeah, that's a project that would finish in 20 fucking years. Like, that's something that should have been done when you built I-40 in the first place. But
right,
that's neither here nor there. So.
Well, let's talk about another kerfuffle. Is it kerfuffle?
Yeah, that's Calamity.
Ryan Cohen, what a goofball, yo.
Do you think he is that any relation to Brian Tyler Cohen, or the Cohen brothers, or maybe Andy Cohen from E Network?
No, let me say this about Brian Tyler Cohen. I want to apologize because I know I've said some things about him. It's not fair for me to do that. And he seems to enjoy what he does, but there's something about him, man.
You don't have to like it, Like, at the end of the day, he's not. I don't think he's for everybody. I don't listen to him ever really anymore. I don't. I think I did. Do not show me this channel. Recommend this channel on YouTube, and I'll see him every once in a while, maybe on like a short or something from another thing. And I don't mind him in those in a small snippet. but he's not somebody that I can tune in every day. Even Philip DeFranco, who I like, is somebody that I have to take little breaks. I mean, Sam Cedar, I was the same way when I was listening to them for a little while. The Bulwark was one of the only ones that I didn't get tired of until they got my hopes up so much about the 2024 election that I'm still holding it against them to this day that they were wrong.
That's pretty
I'm
bad.
not really. It's just I've taken such a big break from all of that type of political commentary at this point because
I'll tell you this. I enjoy Sam Cedar, but I will say this. This is the only thing I'm going to say about politics. Hopefully. There's something about progressives that is kind of annoying. And Cedar and I can't remember the young lady that's with him. Man, I got it. Well, whatever. I mean, she's pretty cool. I think they're both very smart commentators, and I enjoy the fact that he's from Boston and the Red Sox are losing right now. So I take a little pleasure in that. The Yankees just broke their 4-game losing streak, so I'm okay with that too.
Emma Vigeland?
Emma. Yeah.
Vigeland?
Thank you.
I don't know how you pronounce her last name, but
Emma and Sam were like basically going in on, all right, this is when I noticed it. So Barack Obama and Michelle Obama have been kind of like chilling, doing their own thing, minding their business. And it was a few months back, they were like, I think it was Emma that said, why isn't Barack Obama saying anything? And I was like, yo, chill. Dude's like living his life and there's nothing he can do. And then fast forward to a couple weeks ago, and my wife, who's a big Obama fan, was mad because these two brought up the Obamas. And I said, babe, I want you to understand something. Progressives have this thing that they think everybody should bend to their will. And they're right about a lot of things, but the way they present their information is often quite offensive and it's annoying, right? But she was like, I don't know why you watch this. I'm like, because number one, I want to have different points of views and perspectives. And I may not agree with everything they're saying, but I think underneath what they're saying, I probably agree with. But I do feel like progressives have this really weird way of communicating ideas that is quite offensive. And yeah, no offense to any progressive out there. I'm saying it as a true diehard independent that is open to a lot of things because I don't know everything. But I think that the self-righteous bullshit is pretty fucking annoying.
Yes, there is an element of self-righteousness amongst a lot of, I think, progressives.
They're like fucking vegans. They're like, the type of vegans that...
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
Look, as a former vegan who may or may not have participated in my criticism, who have to tell everybody they're fucking vegan, right? That's how progressives come off. It's like, yo, I get it, dog. Yeah. Good point. Just chill.
Which is why I don't go around telling everybody randomly, like, I'm vegan. If anything, I will just, like, when I'm at, a big work group or something like that, when we go out to eat, one of my coworkers who usually makes the reservations always checks to make sure they have something vegan. But if I'm not with that person and traveling with some others and we end up somewhere that doesn't really have many vegan options, I'm not like, well, I'm a vegan, so is there something special you could make for me? Right?
That's how progressives sound to me. It's so fucking...
No, I totally get it. I know what you're saying. Like, there is the super annoying vegan who goes out of their way to try and make everybody else feel bad about what they're eating. And for me, it's like, look, this is my choice. This is what I choose to eat. I'm not going to enforce this on anybody else. Like, you do you, And if they're like, well, if people ask questions, I will gladly answer, but I'm not, I mean, and you know me, I'm not the type that's going to shove it down your throat and try to make you feel bad about it.
I will cuss somebody out, but I have learned to like, and this is it. When we worked at D-Zone, there was a lot of progressives there, and they were
and they were also this super annoying, the 20-year-old progressives who think they know better than the whole world because they spent 4 years at college. You know what I mean?
Fuck my life.
And not that college is bad. I'm not like a old college indoctrinated, but it's I finally got out from my mom and dad's way of thinking, and I realized that there are other ways of thought in the world, and now I feel so enlightened that I have to look down on everybody else who doesn't recognize all of these amazing pontifications that I've come up with in the time since. I mean, yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
I can think of 3 or 4 people immediately at the top of that list from our time at D-Zone for sure.
Go fuck yourself. Like I just like you're insulting my intelligence, my existence, but I do understand what I will say I do understand what progressives say, and I agree with probably 92% of it. And I'll leave it at that. So I think we as a people need to do a better job of learning how to communicate with people, and not being so abrasive.
Yeah. Speaking, which is a great tie back into the topic we started on before we got momentarily side-railed there, because what started my whole fascination with this topic on GameStop and their CEO Ryan Cohen,
God, he's such a tool,
announcing that they were making a $56 billion bid to acquire eBay, which is roughly 5 times the size of GameStop, I think they said. Yeah. And what started it was that he was on CNBC and he was being interviewed by Andrew Sorkin, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Sorkin? Andrew Sorkin?
Andrew.
I can't remember.
It's a guy.
Yeah, Aaron Sorkin's a writer, I think. Anyways, the other Sorkin. So the interview was horrible.
Terrible.
Because the guy basically wouldn't answer any questions.
Sort of walk us through how you could get to that price and how it would work.
It's on our website. It's half cash, half stock. But the details are on our website.
Okay, so you've built up a stake in this company already. You've had conversations with the company. You've tried. What's happened here?
No.
And the 20, as far as I understand, while it's considered a highly confident letter, meaning TD saying they're highly confident that they would provide the financing, it's not locked financing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Come to find out later, some people think that he did it on purpose because he didn't like their coverage of GameStop over the years.
I don't know. I mean, didn't you guys call for GameStop's demise multiple times? Well, look at our financial performance. Is it better than you guys anticipated? Because you guys said it was going to be doing really, really poorly, and it's actually doing okay.
And then I did see the interview that he did on like Fox Business or whatever, and it was more like, friendly. He certainly wasn't being such a fucking douchebag. But anyways, eBay has since...
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I want to say this. He is definitely a Temu fucking Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, yeah. He really
and that's
is.
not even a good bar, but let's go.
Not, but yeah, so eBay has roundly rejected their offer, citing it to be neither serious nor enticing. And so now I think he just kind of looks like a dumbass for all of that. Sorry, neither credible nor attractive was how they described it. And because so the whole CNBC interview was over trying to understand where the money was going to come from for this, right? Because they were saying they had $9 million in cash, they had another $20 million that they were supposedly going to get from TD, even though that wasn't like guaranteed.
I'm sorry, you meant to say billion.
Billion, yeah, sorry. billion with a B, and then there was like another 11 million. Anyways, yeah, they were going to issue some shares, and that was going to leave them still $16 billion short of the $56 billion bid. And the guy just refused to answer any questions and basically kept saying, well, it's on our website. I don't understand what's so confusing about this. And then it turns out that was because they were trying to do it as a leveraged buyout of eBay, to use eBay to do what the private equity firms do, where they take out a loan to purchase the company and then saddle the company they just purchased with said debt.
One of the best things I heard was never confuse debt with creativity.
Yeah, that is a good bar.
And I think Ryan Cohen he's definitely feeling himself. He's definitely he's a nerd that got popular and doesn't know how to be that person.
Yeah.
He kind of proved it with the 2022 Bed Bath & Beyond stock purchase.
Yeah.
And then
the pump and dump.
Yeah. It's like, bro, what are we talking about? And it's the people that thought he was trying to do a get back at CNBC, they were Reddit bros.
Yeah. Right.
And it's like, okay, look, you did a thing that nobody hates.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you're good at every other thing. And I think that's where we've got to stop idolizing these billionaires and people that get some type of financial success.
Yeah.
And like treat them like people, man. Like on what planet does that happen?
There seems to be a culture, and I don't think it's exclusive to the United States, but I think it's especially pervasive in the US, that if you have a lot of money, it means you must be smart and you must be really good at what you do. That's really like, or that if you got your money somehow through business means, right? Which I don't even know how you would necessarily define that, but that it somehow is an indication of your worth as a person, right?
You know what's funny about what you just said? Josh Johnson, I've been watching like a lot of his stand-up. He just did or I just saw a stand-up where he mentioned something like that.
Really?
Where it's like, yeah. And I think I remember going through a phase with two of my sons where they equated financial success to being a genius. You can only imagine how that went over with me.
Yeah. I wish I could have been there for that conversation.
It was so infuriating. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
But you're right. I think that way of thinking has just increased since 2016.
Well, the whole, we talked about this on the toxic manosphere, the toxic masculinity and manosphere episode 2 years ago, and it's a lot of that, I think, or at least I should say that group seems to really put that on a pedestal, right? The more money you have, the better a person you are, the higher your value, the more everybody else wants to be like you. And that's why it's a lot of like the fake it till you make it, where I pretend to be super rich and have all this money and I'm renting Lamborghinis on, a credit card in order to take some Instagram photos. And then you can't figure out why, when you show up on your Tinder date, you don't look anything like your profile picture and you're not driving your Lamborghini, that the girl's like, oh, well, everything about you is a lie.
Yeah, she sees you pull up and you're like, and she just ditches. It's just, I think that this kind of ties back to the private equity thing. We have attached or associated accumulation as a metric.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the truest things Jeff Bezos has ever said is every company will die, my job is to prolong the life of the company, right? And I think some people feel that way, but they also tie their identity to that. And it's, oh, I need to keep this status because once I lose the status, I'm no longer relevant. And I think Mr. Cohen, like, he was feeling himself after his meme stock, basically, like, GameStop, for some reason, for the last, like, 3 to 5 years, for whatever reason, it has, like, these crazy dips and then comes back up for some reason. People talk about it because of that one blip. And
the one Wall Street Bets thing. Yeah,
it's like, bro, nobody cares. Microsoft, Sony have changed your business model. Yeah. In 3 years, your company's dead because you're not going to be able to buy a game.
There will be no physical games anymore.
Right.
They don't want you to own that shit.
There's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah.
So there's something we can do. If we can just get indie game developers to make like Madden, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I don't even need the real teams. You can do Temu version of the teams and the players.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it. Just give me some good game mechanics.
It could be like, Carl instead of Carl Anthony Thomas. It could be like Carl Thomas something. Andrew. I don't know.
Anthony Thomas Carl.
Yeah, just mix up all the names. Make it work.
Jacob Morden.
Yeah.
Morden for 3.
So it's an embarrassing story. I mean, the video you sent me, this guy, like, and I watched the original like interview, then I watched it again. I was like, yo, he really did the whole Elon like cosplay.
Yeah, I mean, even his attitude was very Elon Musk-esque. You know, it reminded me a little bit.
I'm sorry, hold on. We said his. Did I say his name too? Fuck Elon Musk.
Oh yeah, sorry. Fuck Elon Musk.
Sorry.
Shit, we just said it again. Fuck that.
Fuck
guy.
Elon. Yeah, fuck that guy.
No, but like, it reminded me of from the BYD when the old clip of him being interviewed and the girl's talking to him about BYD and he's just laughing.
Why do you laugh?
Have you seen their car?
I have seen their cars, yes. In fact, at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, I saw their cars.
Yeah.
Well, they're on a different. Tell me why you're laughing. You don't see them at all as a competitor.
No.
And he won't answer because like, well, have you seen their car? And it's like, yeah. But what's the point? Like, are you not? Yeah. Right.
Yo. That is a get back. I mean, I'm telling you, like, hands down,
yeah.
It's like, and China, you know what they've done to him? They have kind of restricted some of his sales.
Yep.
Which I think it's like, bro, you can't be out there outside saying wild shit.
I was just going to say, you can't be wilding out and think you can still roll up to China and be like, buy my EVs. Like, it's not how that's going to work.
Yo, you're right, because he had hair then, and he was giggling like a little schoolgirl. Oh, we got to put
He was, because he didn't have an answer. And probably because deep down inside he was terrified. I mean, shit, Tesla's not even trying to be a fucking car company anymore. Now
because
he knows that it's a fucking that he's lost. Like,
well, let's remind the audience, he did not start Tesla.
Yeah. No, but he's gonna end it.
It's like he's another like poser. Like apparently Sam Altman is a shitty developer too. I saw an article a while ago that his code is ass.
Yeah. He's a marketer.
Well, yeah, but at least
he
built his
trade.
He built his first thing though. Elon, like,
what did we just say a minute ago though? That just because you did it once doesn't mean that you're good at everything, right?
Pretty good. But like my ex-wife used to say,
anybody can do it once.
That's fair. But Elon's like, his shit's like ass. I don't know what's worse than ass, but his code, his understanding of code, his understanding of databases,
his understanding
like
of humans. Like the man does not understand people.
Well, you know, he brought his mommy on SNL to explain he's got autism. And I know autistic people. They're not like assholes. Yeah. Like having autism doesn't give you the right to be an asshole.
No.
It's a spectrum. It's like everybody's.
That's right.
If it's a spectrum, everybody's on the spectrum, asshole.
We're all autistic to some degree.
Yeah. So I don't hate GameStop. What I do admire about the meme stock thing is I personally don't fucking respect Wall Street or the SEC. Like I really don't.
I think it underscored what a joke that all is.
Yeah.
Which I was perfectly fine with. Like,
and I was
more
rooting
power
for
to
it.
you.
I was like,
yeah.
I was on the sidelines going, "Go get them, boys."
And when Robinhood and the SEC and all those guys came in and said, "Oh no, this is your guys are breaking the rules because you talked about it on Reddit," and it's like, what do you think happens in these major trading houses? You think that they don't talk to each other about what they're gonna do?
Right?
Are you freaking kidding me? Like, but you right because so to circle it right back to what we were talking about before. What it comes down to a lot of the times in this country is how much money do you have? If you have enough money, you can make things like that go away and get away with it. If you don't, and you're the Wall Street Bets guys, when you play the same game by the same rules, they hold you accountable. And that's part of why I think people in this country especially try to attach, or why they attach wealth to power, access, right? It's all of those things. It gives you that leg up.
It gives you a shield, right?
Yeah.
So here's where I think that eventually the dog catches the car. Kalshi, what's the other one?
Free market, Polymarket. Sorry,
Polymarket. Those guys are coloring.
Which sounds
outside
like
the
a
lines.
polyamorous dating website. Not
yeah, that's not a good idea. Let's not.
I met my
that.
throuple on Polymarket.
Yeah, it sounds pretty like. Yeah, actually, I'm not gonna lie. When I first, I'm like, what? That's a thing. But this dog will catch the car because they're trying to. There are certain investors, two of them, that are propping up both of these things. And in a normal scenario, the brakes would have been pushed or pressed. Yeah. And once the genie gets out of the bag, it's kind of hard to clean up the mess. And, okay, I'm going to fuck it. So the idiot president's two kids are investors in both Kalshi and Polymarket, which I think, and I think one's on the board of one, but it's like conflict of interest much.
That doesn't exist anymore.
I think that once we kind of, if we go with our, our darkest inhibitions and push forward with that, that could probably cripple the economy of 10 to 15% of the country. Because the loophole with these prediction markets is it's not gambling.
Because the house they're not taking a cut.
Right.
But they are in a way, just not. It's like obviously they're still making money, right? And there has been suspicion that both of those markets are placing counter bets opposite wherever the money is in order to balance it out and to hedge against.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Hey guys, Editor Chris here. I just wanted to clarify that what I read about Kalshi and Polymarket was them acting as market makers, not them secretly placing bets on their own platforms. Sorry for the confusion, but I wanted to make sure we cleared that up.
Yo.
I have to see if I can find the video or the article that I was reading that mentioned that. But I remember specifically reading where it was like
Are you kidding me?
that they have basically like people within the organization that have kind of, dummy
Triggers?
accounts that they use to go in and place bets opposite when they see like money moving in a certain direction. They'll hedge their bets on the other side, or they do it to try and influence where people are going to put their money. Just like Vegas with the odds.
Wow.
Which is illegal if you're doing that, and you're not saying that you're fucking gambling or a casino. Like,
I don't know what to do with that information. It kind of makes me want to see the whole like thing crumble, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and with the sports betting and this, I feel like as a society in the U.S., like it's not that we are giving into our darkest desires or whatever, like, but they're being made more accessible in some cases, or even kind of promoted to an extent. I mean, you can't watch any sporting event anymore without seeing ads for that. Imagine if you were a gambling addict, right? I mean, you probably shouldn't be watching live sports to begin with.
You should probably cut that out. You should probably not.
All right, I take that back. Not that big of a deal.
I was talking to one of my sons today about like just where he asked me, how do you feel about where the country's going? And that's actually, it brought me a sense of hope, right? Because obviously my son's younger than I am, and the things he's thinking about or kind of like playing through in his mind, or they're very mature. And I told him, I said, look, I get it. It feels like shit right now. But what's hopeful is like Viktor Orban lost in Hungary, and Zoran Mandani won in New York City. And I said, there's two particular points I want you to take out of those data points. One, Viktor Orban was he didn't arrive at the crest of authoritarianism. He was like at the bottom, and he rode the wave up. But he was soundly defeated this past election, and not to a point where he felt the need to fight it. He was just like, yeah, if I do anything outside of just dip out, I'm not going to make it to my next destination.
Yeah, past the palace gates.
Yeah. And Zoran Mandani, although people think that, well, New York is a very progressive city, it's not. It's a very moderate city. A lot of things happen in New York that don't happen in a lot of other places, but I would say generally it's very moderate. It's in the middle.
Yeah, Rudy
very
Giuliani.
centrist.
Right.
Sure.
I'm not saying he's moderate or centrist, but I'm just saying he was mayor at one point. So
right. And Zoran Mandani is very progressive. So I think that as the pressure builds on the things that people are feeling around here and around the world, that people are rejecting the stupidity. And the only thing that they have in common, the stupidity and what's happening now, is a populist message, right? And when that pendulum swings this time around, it probably gives us a good runway to improve things. So in that, I say I'm hopeful.
You're hopeful that the progressives can stop being so damn annoying once we start making progress.
Well, shit. And I'll tell you the same thing I told my son. I'm like, look, I kind of came into this whole Zoran thing kind of skeptical, but he keeps fucking winning. He's like not missing the ball. So it's kind of hard to be skeptical.
Yeah, I mean, it seems, from a distance, I'm obviously not somebody that lives in New York, and it's not like I follow everything that he's doing, but the stuff that I have seen seems like it's working. It seems like it's popular with the majority of the residents, and he hasn't, that I've seen, like, caved on any of the things that he said he was going to do when he got into office. And it's not that everything's gotten accomplished already,
right?
But it seems like he's actively working on the things that he can control. And I don't know what more you would ask for from somebody in that position.
And what you just said was very important. It's the populist message, right? And he's trying to navigate, how do I implement and execute on these things? So I think in between all the things that we've seen and experienced and we're currently experiencing right now, there is a hope. And I think that even Brian Cohen, right? He's going to ride this wave of, like, everything we've talked about. It's about riding a wave. Mm-hmm. Until we get to a point where it's like, yeah, that's not good. And it's not working. And I think that, again, we, the people that live in this place, the places that we live in, have to be more adamant and not abdicate our position of influence, right? Cumulatively, to push back on some of the stupidity. I think we're just like in the idiocracy phase of the United States. It's ironic we're going to, as a country, I don't know if I'm going to celebrate 250 years of existence. And we're in the idiocracy phase of our existence. It's kind of embarrassing, but...
Do you want to hear something really that makes me very upset?
What's that?
My passport expires January of next year.
Just don't get it renewed in Washington, D.C.
Oh, is that it?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Thank God. Yeah, I can go
because I would be like, fuck.
Yeah, I know, man. Like I was looking at it going, I got international travel in January. Like, I'm gonna have to get my passport renewed this year at some point. And I was like, if I get a fucking passport with that fuck's face on it, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Because
yeah, so that passport is only going to be a thing in Washington, D.C. And I believe it's optional. I believe it's optional. Or people that live in Washington, D.C. and they go to Virginia to get their passports renewed or issued. Yeah, I get it. And whether it's a gold statue or the passports or putting his face on a $200 bill, which we don't have, which is weird to me. Like, I don't understand why that's a thing, or commemorative coins, or fucking painting the pool and
the reflecting pool,
reflected
Trump phone that they haven't delivered,
or wanting to build the Arc Trump or Trump the Arc or some bullshit. Yeah. Look, here's what I'll tell you. And I think I'm breaking our deal here. You know what? I will tell anybody that runs for office after that motherfucker expires like a bad fucking loaf of bread, tear that shit down. Yeah. Even if they happen to build the new ballroom in before 28, I will vote for anybody that says tear it down and put it back. I don't give a fuck how much it costs.
Nope.
Tear it down and put it back.
Undo everything.
Everything.
I think at this point, anybody that he's appointed,
they should be in prison.
There's not that anybody who's been appointed by him should be in prison, but you shouldn't still have your job. You can't be trusted at this point.
No, they should be in prison.
No way.
Any cabinet official should be in prison.
Sure, yeah, but I'm talking about like judges and stuff like that. And there have been plenty of judges that he has appointed that have not been like kowtowing to his whole thing. I was reading something the other day that said that they've been 425 different judges have voted negatively against the administration in the last year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, one can only hope and pray. And if you're in Tennessee or Louisiana,
any of the Confederate states?
Well, this is like, I'm actually going to be super serious. And I've been like, it's been like really, really weighing on me to like, what does this look like? I'm so sorry this country is abandoning black people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like really, like, I can't imagine what it feels like in Memphis to listen to your state representatives to say the bullshit they've said. If you're in South Carolina and you happen to hear this, yo, we got to fight harder to push this stuff back into the bellies of the underworld where it exists. To hear the speaker in South Carolina say, we will pay for this, more black people will come out and vote.
Yeah.
I was
that's the problem
wild.
with it.
That's wild. That's wild. And we've done a good job of not talking about politics, but I'll be honest, that's been weighing on me heavy, just like kind of...
Understandably so.
You know, even Bakari Sellers, like Bakari said something that I've been saying for years. My mom went to segregated schools, and like she was later afforded the opportunity to go to a private school because of my grandparents' position in life. But, you know, she's still alive. And it's barely 2 generations removed. And to see the stuff that's happening right now, it really bothers me. And I've been trying to figure out how I feel about it. And the only thing I would say is like, wow. That's where I'm at. It's like, wow. And I think that people that really care about equality, I won't minimize it just to ethnicity or cultural differences. We got to go out and vote. The one lingering thought I had was that Kamala Harris lost because a lot of people either stayed home or because they're misogynist or because they're racist. And here we are. So I would just, you know, I would hope that people that say they're about the thing, that in 2026 that we do the thing, we take the House, the Senate, we spend more time doing multiple things, trying to fix the country with legislation that the Supreme Court can't fuck up, rebuild the Supreme Court, or put the framework in place to where it can be rebuilt, hold strong for 28, impeach every motherfucker that has been in a position to put our country in detriment, hurt our children, hurt our parents, hurt our grandparents, and hurt ourselves. And the Supreme Court and Clarence Thomas, Alito, fuck all of them. And it also brought back a feeling of RBG. No offense, she fucked up. And like people that are not crazy right-wing people, you gotta learn how to play a game to win, not to play a game to keep your name on the fucking jersey. Yeah. Sorry for talking about politics, but that's been weighing on me heavy this week, where it's just like, damn. Like,
it's not just politics, man. That's life. You know, we've made it 3 episodes so far this year without politics. I think a 10-minute, less than 10-minute foray here at the end is I'll allow it.
oh, and here's another one. Fuck Stephen A. Smith. fuck Killer Mike, fuck Van Jones. Like, if you want to be on the porch, be on the porch. But stop trying to ask people to join you. And I want that to go out for real. Like, yeah, I'm for real. Like, stop asking people to rock with you when you're not looking out for the benefit of others. Your self-interest is dangerous, and it's self-motivated, and it doesn't even look past your own nose. Like Stephen A. Smith, you can eat all of the bags of dicks. Fucking Killer Mike, never been a fan, never. And I can go back to D-Zone. I had a very heated conversation about, look, all that glitter ain't gold. And a lot of people are like, oh, progressives. No, but he's like, I don't give a shit what he's saying. He's not about that life. And Van Jones, you are one of the most tap dancingest motherfuckers I've ever seen in my life, man. Tap, tap, tap. And I think what's bothering me is that my son, I think the only reason I'm talking about this is because my son with his family was, the things he's telling me, it just kind of, we got to speak up about this shit and not, keep it all inside. And he's a young man trying to do the right thing. And, I've got your back. I love you. Love all my kids. But, I mean, he's right to feel the way he feels. Your daughters, I want them to have a good life. And it's just like, I don't know. It just kind of bothered me. So, yeah. So Memphis especially, my heart goes out to you, but fucking go vote anyway. If you run in a district that's fucked up, still show up. And if we're going to go out, we go out swinging and
and
acting a fucking fool.
Sitting at home.
Yeah. So if the pressure is asking us to do something different, let's do something different. And if the pain is saying you don't got any more, find a little bit more. And I think that's how we get some semblance of respectability and trust and all the things that we want for ourselves and for our families. And people got to speak up. We got to stop, I don't know what it is, but we got to speak more truth to the things that are messed up, going on around us. And I really like watching my son struggle has been not struggle, but ask the right questions. And one thing I've always tried to do is like be the same person in private as I am in public. And I told him a lot of this stuff right now, but
yeah, of course,
it's just a matter of he's right to feel the way he feels. I mean, he's trying to raise his family, he cares about his daughter, and it's like, fuck, we talking about. So anyway. I won't do the outro because I know Chris always puts his thing in there.
No, you can do it. I like it anyways. It's always good. This is good. I mean, I never get tired of sitting down and having these conversations. I love that every other week when we get together, we can always find things that we both want to talk about, and that I think get us both excited or interested or whatever it is. And the hope is again that people enjoy this and they get some value out of it, that they feel like they're part of something. If you can comment, like, subscribe, do all those things. Go check out the Chris and Andre show, chrisandandreshow.com. I said do it and then I started doing it, which is probably
I know, it's white privilege.
Seriously, it's like the whitest thing I've ever done. Jeez.
Hey, we've got some. I want to let you guys know we got some good stuff coming, like for you guys. I was telling Chris before we started recording about we're going to do a personal finance update in the next couple of weeks. I've got a couple open source things because I just don't want to talk about the things that we do. I want to give people the tools to like help them. I'm actually really excited about it. So I'll tell you this. It has to do with budgeting because
that's the key to personal finance.
It is. I'm actually really excited about it because why am I so? Because it's something that, like, I like numbers and I like knowing where all the pennies go, and I kind of broke this obstacle I had. So I'm probably the next time we sit down and record, we'll definitely be able to talk about it. It's going to force me to open source the thing quicker than I can test it. But I'm really excited about it.
Part of the reason that you get so excited about budgeting is because you're just a little bit autistic.
You know what? I'll tell you this. So the way I have my system set up now, it's where I review all my finances Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I was drinking coffee yesterday morning, and I was like, why does that seem so familiar? When I used to work for McDonald's, I used to review P&Ls Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, so I would review P&Ls and transaction details on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. It helped me to kind of course correct. And I know people at McDonald's, yes, that's true. I there was a point where I used to be in charge of 7, and in order to stay, financially responsible for the company, I had to have routines. And Monday, Wednesday, Friday worked out really well, and it helped me make a lot of money. And I think subconsciously, I've kind of worked that into my own personal life. And even my business where, so I'm like super excited about the thing I want to share with you guys. Because I think part of it is I know that we're all feeling the financial pressures of what's happening around us. Cause I know that my wife and I are definitely feeling that. And one example would be that it used to cost me like $65 to $70 to fill up my car from a quarter of a tank. Now it costs me $95, right? Our grocery budget has gone up, I'd say on average, $350 to $400 more every month since last July. The only reason I know that is because I know where all my pennies go to. So are we okay? We're still okay, but the amount of pressure that we can financially withstand will eventually dwindle. So those are like, it's not somebody on the news telling you that, households. No, I'm telling you, like, flat out, like 350 to 400 and some change going up since last July. That's
a lot of money in a very short amount of time.
Right. That's not even a year.
Yeah.
So, like, I can imagine, and I often do think about, man, if I'm feeling this, I wonder what people that are making less money are feeling. So, I really want, part of one of the things that Chris and I really strive to do is to help people around us. And, like, if you can't keep the lights on, things only get worse after that. So one of the things I keep going back to, you may have seen in the budget tutorial or introduction, actual budget. And I think I've found something that works for me. It may work for other people, just like the other tools may work for other people. Because I want people to be okay. At the end of this journey, we've got to figure out a way to be okay. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. I like helping people as much as I can. Got a chance to use some of my nerd and developer chops. So yeah, I'm excited.
Thanks for checking out the Chris and Andre Show. This is the part where we ask you to like and subscribe. You could also leave a comment and share this with someone you think would find useful. For more content like this, head on over to chrisandandreshow.com. Remember, stay sane, stay safe, and stay salty. We'll see you on the next one.